Spurgeon here with RevZilla, and today we are going to take a look at Givi Skid Plates available at RevZilla.com. So Givi Skid Plates are available for a variety of different ADV motorcycles. And keep in mind, ADV riders come in different flavors. So there's really hardcore guys that are out there that are beating these bikes up in really aggressive terrain, treating them as if they're small dirt bikes. And there's guys that just want a big ADV bike because it makes a great touring machine. So with the Givi Skid Plates you're going to see here, these are going to be aimed at riders that really don't plan on taking their ADV bikes in anything more aggressive than a lightweight fire road. So just keep that in mind. These are definitely going to be a more affordable option. They're not going to break the bank for you. They're still going to give you protection, but if you're planning on doing some really aggressive stuff off-road, they're probably not the right option for your motorcycle. Now, speaking of the right option for your bike, because these are going to be bike specific, you want to make sure you're using the bike finder on our website to get yourself set up with the right skid plate to match up with your bike. And that's going to take us into install, which is going to be a 1 out of 3 on our BSD, our beard scale difficulty for installation. I say it's going to take us into install because these are bike specific. They will come with all the mounting hardware you need to get these mounted to your motorcycle. Plan on setting about half an hour to an hour aside depending on your bike, but we'll get more into install at the end. So with Givi as a brand, we know them really for, first and foremost, their luggage options, and now we're seeing them kind of break into protection as well to give riders an option to keep their bikes safe that's not going to break the bank. And I say that because, for example, on the F800, the skid plate you see behind me, I installed earlier, and I've got an F800 skid plate right here as well. This comes in around that $170 price point. Some of the other skid plates we're going to see from other manufacturers are over double that price. And like I said, you might not need that level of protection. If you're not sliding over rocks and logs, you don't need the biggest, most protective skid plate out there. You need something that's going to keep the bottom of your engine safe, from small debris that you might kick up on a fire road or your day-to-day commute. And that's really where Givi skid plates come into play. So the construction on these, it's going to be a full aluminum skid plate. You're looking at 3 millimeters of construction. Now I will say this, on the product description that Givi gave us, they're listed as 3 millimeter thick aluminum construction throughout. When I actually measured, there was some varying degrees of thickness, and we're talking about the actual wall of the aluminum. So on the F800 skid plate, it did measure at 3 millimeters thick. However, on the V-Strom 650 skid plate to my left-hand side, when I measured that, it measured at 2 millimeters thick. So just keep that in mind. There might be a 1 millimeter variation depending on which motorcycle your skid plate is designed for. So the one thing you'll note here, full aluminum construction, really nice lightweight design, and you're going to notice rivets. And this is really where it comes into play as far as not being the beefiest option out there. The rivets are going to work very nicely for those of you out there, again, looking to tackle lightweight stuff, but the last thing you would want to do is slide one of these on some aggressive rocks where you could possibly rip the rivet off. So it was a cost-saving measure, but it's something where it's not going to affect you depending on how aggressive you're going to be. The rivets still work very nicely to hold it into place, and if you have a rivet gun at home, if you do pop 1 or 2 off, you can always replace the rivets and do a nice home repair for yourself as well. So simple construction, thought out design to this, and they will include all the mounting hardware you need to get these installed in your motorcycle. So let's take a second and talk about installation, because I spent some time wrangling the skid plate behind me onto the F800, and it took me about 40 minutes to do so. The instructions, I've had some problems with Givi instructions in the past. They were very clear, and they made it very concise as to how to get this on. And remember, on our BSD, or beard scale difficulty, this is going to be a 1 out of 3. It's something that anyone out there can do using simple hand tools. And make sure to set aside about a half an hour to an hour, depending on your bike, as well as your skill level with working with, different components on the motorcycle. As far as tools are concerned, every bike will be a little bit different. But the one thing to note when I was installing this on the F800, for the Allen wrench that you will need for getting the front mount point on, I couldn't use a traditional Allen wrench. I needed to make sure I had Allen head sockets. So just make sure you have a nice array of tools with you in your toolbox, before you go ahead and start the job. You'll notice that they include rubber grommets to make sure this is mounted correctly. It will lower it about maybe a half of an inch over a traditional stock BMW skid plate, but the rubber mounts to this, everything you could possibly need were included. The one thing I did note too is that for the mounts on the bottom for the F800, the bolt heads themselves stuck out a little bit further than the indentations. I would love to see them just kind of make the indentations a little bit deeper. That way I don't have to worry about the bolt heads getting sheared off if I do go over something a little bit more beefy. But really, again, that's where this comes into play as more of a lightweight option. Someone out there that's not going to worry about sliding against some rocks where you might possibly damage the mounting hardware on the bottom side of this. So for those of you out there that are on the touring side of the ADV world, Givi skid plates are going to offer you protection for the bottom of your bike. They're not going to break the bank, and it's a nice lightweight alternative, than some of the other bigger, beefier options out there. So there's a lot of riders out there utilizing motorcycle protection on their motorcycles. And if you want to hear more about what they have to say, click the info button on your desktop or mobile device, which will allow you to read other rider reviews from folks that are already using Givi skid plates on their motorcycles. If you have more questions for us, never hesitate to pick up the phone. Give us a call, 877-792-9455, or simply type us out an email, cs@RevZilla.com. Thank you for joining us for this look at the Givi skid plate collection. I'm Spurge. Enjoy the ride.